4 million merchants are now able to accept Bitcoin as payment thanks to Square. This is a huge announcement. Probably like, I mean, it seems like a big deal, but it's also incredibly underrated because of the knock-on effects of what this means. Here we have an article showing just some of the merchant benefits from this, right? 0% payment processing for fees. So that is a huge incentive for merchants to adopt this as a payment method because they're paying probably around 3% for credit cards. No chargebacks, so final settlement and instant settlement in Bitcoin or USD. So there's actually in their settings on their point of sale unit for Square, they can adjust how much they actually want to keep in Bitcoin. So if somebody sends them Bitcoin for a coffee, say they're a cafe, they can adjust it and only, convert 80% of that back into fiat and keep 20% in Bitcoin if they wanted. Now, what's also interesting here is there's the other option as well. So somebody can pay with dollars and the business can instantly convert a percentage of that into Bitcoin. So this could actually create a huge amount of demand for more Bitcoin, right? Because that is the merchant buying Bitcoin with those dollars right away. This has huge knock-on effects. And I think Square really did a great job of having everything ready when they released this. Merchants can get free advertisement, like little stickers and stuff, accept Bitcoin from Square. And they have everything set up so that it's just easy to do. They go into the settings, enable Bitcoin payments, they accept Bitcoin.
Well, think about, Forrest, from your perspective here, because you've been onboarding businesses for the last couple of years in your area there. And think about how different it's going to be now to walk into a business and say, here's Square. You literally just have to change this in your settings. You're already there. I mean, it's not available in Canada yet, but I'm assuming it will be soon. But I mean, that's just such a huge perspective shift from like going into a business that you use all the time and having to, get them to explain what Bitcoin is, set up a QR code, how to do an invoice, train their staff. Nobody comes in for a month, they scrap it, and you're back to square one. Where this is like literally a toggle on your settings that you already have. And it's cool because like you said there, it's if for the customer, for me as a Bitcoiner, I can pay with Bitcoin if I want to now, which is massive. But from the business perspective, if they kind of get into Bitcoin, they start learning about it and they see the price going up over time versus their fiat, they might want to convert some of their actual fiat sales into Bitcoin at the end of the day and start storing that on their treasury. So it's incredibly bullish for Bitcoin itself, but also for small businesses who are really struggling right now, straight up struggling with inflation, with keeping costs down, with trying to, maintain their quality of their products and ingredients. This is such a huge superpower now for small businesses. It's incredible.
Yeah. So as somebody who's been part of an initiative to onboard businesses, one example is that a friend and a guy that goes to the Bitcoin meetup, he went to a brewery and he was just, ordering a beer or whatever. And then he said, "Hey, do you guys accept Bitcoin?" And the wait staff laughed at him. They literally laughed at him. And the reason for that is because it's such a foreign concept. And it also takes so much work to onboard somebody because you have to get them to download a wallet. You have to make sure that the employees can use that if there's employees. There's so much friction. Whereas now all you have to do is when you go to a business and you see they're using a Square terminal, which you'll see their little logo, you can literally just ask them, "Hey, have you enabled Bitcoin payments? I'd really like to pay with Bitcoin." It's like back in the day saying, "Hey, do you guys accept credit cards?" It's not such a foreign concept anymore to just say, "Hey, I have a preferred way to pay, and you can have a preferred way of what currency that ends up being. If it's US dollars or Bitcoin, whatever, doesn't matter to me. I have a preferred way of paying, and it's Bitcoin." And so it's really, really easy now with this new setup to have a low cost, easy way, frictionless way of onboarding businesses. And then from there, businesses can figure out Bitcoin afterwards. They don't have to download Coinos and download a sticker and all this stuff. It's just
set up a node.
Simple. Yeah, it's so simple.
Yeah, and I was looking at this from a different angle as well. So now there's more people who can use their savings as a medium of exchange, which is great. But what it also does is it expands the Bitcoin network. So the Bitcoin network it's a set of computers some savers, miners, and then the fourth thing, and I think the thing that lags the most is the merchants, because people who are creating value, first of all, they need to understand what Bitcoin is, and then they need to be willing to accept it. And that's what this opens up. So what this does is it creates, like our title, it creates 4 million new Bitcoin merchants. And that's huge, because that just makes the network so much bigger, and it gives people a reason to actually own Bitcoin. So let's say, for example, if you're, let's say you go to a burger place every day, and you just want to stack Bitcoin, and then, or let's say you go to a burger place and you want to stack Bitcoin as a customer, and you see that the price of that burger is decreasing over time. You're gonna want even more Bitcoin. You're
Yeah.
gonna even if you
True.
don't have Bitcoin right now, let's say you want to try it out, you test it out, you can see that the cost of that burger went from, let's say, 10,000 satoshis to 8,000 to 6,000. It keeps decreasing and decreasing. It drops by 90% every few years, let's say. That just means that instead of being able to buy food for 1 week with your satoshis, you can now start buying for 10 weeks. Then you can start buying for 100 weeks. Then you can start buying for 1,000 weeks. And if anything, you can upgrade what you're buying. You can get something better, right? And then as that merchant, you see that your customers are enjoying this. They're seeing that their cost is going down. You can keep decreasing your cost while increasing the service that you give them. You can hire better workers. You can hire, or more skilled workers. You can train them better. You can use better ingredients. It's not
Yes.
even a problem at that point, right? Because you're getting this Bitcoin, you're putting it into your stack. You see your stack growing. You see that compared to your stack, your expenses have been decreasing. You can open up more locations. It's that flywheel effect that we talk about all the time. MicroStrategy created it for themselves, but this is the flywheel effect for Bitcoin as the network. The
Yeah.
hardest part was getting miners to expend their energy to give it to the Bitcoin network, and they got rewarded. Then the next hardest part was bringing savers into the network, and they got rewarded. The nodes don't really get rewarded, I guess, but they can control the network, they can enforce the network. That's something that's growing as well. And then you have these merchants who now they want to get paid in Bitcoin for the value that they create. That blows my mind. That's a paradigm shift right there.
Yeah. So the most useful thing about the US dollar, or dollars in general, is that other people accept them, which
Yep.
makes the use case of a medium of exchange, right? It's really easy to exchange it. But now Bitcoin is becoming easier to use as a medium of exchange. So its usefulness just went up, and the US dollar, its usefulness just went down because of this. Right now, it makes it easier to live on a Bitcoin standard. And that means that you have less reason to hold any dollars if you're able to spend your Bitcoin directly. It's really just as simple as that. Like, Bitcoin literally just became more useful. And when something is more useful, it's more valuable.
Imagine you're getting paid in Bitcoin by, you're doing contract work and getting paid in Bitcoin, and you can take those sats now and actually buy things with it. That means you're completely living away from the fiat system. You don't need a bank account in that situation. You're doing work, you're adding value to the world, you're getting paid in sats, and now you can go to 10 local businesses in your area and spend that Bitcoin, completely separate from the fiat rails. And I think you mentioned friction for us there. I think that's the best way to put it there. There was a lot of friction, because from a business's standpoint and the consumer standpoint, they just weren't aligned. Like, a Bitcoiner would want to go to a business and spend the sats like we just talked about there, but the business wouldn't want to take the sats because they don't know what it is. They don't know how to account for it. They don't know any of that. And there's also Bitcoin businesses who want to get paid in Bitcoin, but their customers on the other end of it don't know anything about Bitcoin. So it's a hassle for them to either have to learn about it, buy, exchange, whatever that is. It was all misaligned, and there was too much friction there for it to happen. But now it doesn't matter. If you want to pay in Bitcoin, you can. From a business perspective, if you want to accept Bitcoin, you can. And it doesn't matter what the other end of the deal is doing. And that is massive. That's no friction anymore.
And
And
think
that's how
about
this thing moves forward.
Yeah, and think about the middlemen that this cut out as well. Like, if you're using Cash App and you have your Bitcoin on there and you spend it at a Square terminal, that's Cash App and Bitcoin, right? That's the only two networks that get used. You're cutting out Visa, MasterCard, banks, Stripe, or other payment methods as well. You're cutting all of that out, and it's just two entities. One that's facilitating the or built the user interface so that you can interact with the Bitcoin network. It's just cut out and all of that is cutting out fees and middlemen that are extracting value for not really providing a service that's necessary at this point.
And that's what I'm most excited about, is because it seems like everything's kind of, we mentioned Cash App in that equation. I think in a couple of years from now, Cash App might even be cut out of that, because once businesses start to see the power of this savings technology, and I think that the tools are going to improve in terms of like a peer-to-peer. So now all of a sudden we get to a place where both the Bitcoiner wants to spend Bitcoin and the business wants to accept Bitcoin now. They don't really need that middleman anymore. Even though Cash App isn't really a bank or a, whatever it is, it's still kind of KYC'd. So I think looking out into this is kind of a perfect bridge into the peer-to-peer economy, where businesses are now learning to how to accept Bitcoin. And I think that everything just keeps getting easier and the friction keeps going down. And when the friction goes down, the demand goes up, the use case goes up, and therefore the value and the price of everything goes up, which creates that flywheel effect there. Yep. Because when the price is going up, that's interesting for both sides. The consumer can spend less sats to get more, and the business can hold a better currency, a better store of value for their longevity as a business.
It becomes pretty obvious, doesn't it? Yeah. And I think you're right that this will lead to more improvements for peer-to-peer use cases, and this is just a massive step in that direction. There's also still headwinds with merchant adoption, right? And I think the big one is tax implications of doing this. Like, this is something we haven't even mentioned, and this is probably the first thing some Bitcoiners will think of, right? So that's got to be dealt with. That's got to be improved, and I think over time it'll become more and more apparent. Like, is the IRS really going to be like, oh, you bought a burger at this place and you got to have your adjusted cost basis, or your first in, first out, or which UTXO did you spend? It's going to be a nightmare for accounting for the individual, and therefore a nightmare for the tax agency of the region as well. So there needs to be new tax laws, basically. If we're going to start, if Bitcoin is largely going to start being used as a medium of exchange, tax laws need to change to reflect that. And I think it will eventually.
Yeah. And one of the greatest things here, though, is that with Cash App, you can just, I'm not promoting Cash App. We have nothing to do with them. We have nothing to do with Square or anything like that. But the greatest thing here is that you can directly exchange your cash into Bitcoin and then make the payment.
Yeah.
Right away. So you don't even have that tax liability. So you're just paying at whatever, but you're paying for the product at the cost of your Bitcoin.
Yeah, right. Because you swap it to Bitcoin, then you pay for it in the same second.
Right away.
Yeah. So there's no actual taxes with that, because you'd buy the Bitcoin. I mean, it depends. We shouldn't get into that because each country's different. Like Forrest mentioned there's different ways to account for it. So we're definitely not providing tax advice here. We're just saying that the tax man with Bitcoin, with Lightning, with all this stuff is going to be a nightmare for them, which is good for us. But from the business perspective, apparently with this new software update and everything going on, it actually does all the conversions for the business. Like all the forms that they need to have ready for the government, for the tax man, it's all provided by Square. So I don't even have to think about that now, which is really also huge, because that's probably the biggest pushback from businesses. Like, how the hell do I account for this?
Totally. Yeah. So they just download their statement and it's already all figured out. So maybe it won't be as much of a nightmare as maybe I explained it, but because that's been thought of ahead of time. But that kind of goes back to the launch of this and how well thought out it was, and how well prepared Square was for this. I mean, it's been years in the making, I think.
They've been testing it for a couple of years now, I think.
Yeah, and Jack's been talking about it for so long, and people would be, on Twitter, I saw a lot of Bitcoiners like ripping Jack, being like, bro, you can make Bitcoin as a medium of exchange happen, and you think it's so important that it does end up happening, and why isn't this enabled on Square? And I just think that at this point we can see that they've put a lot of work into this, and they really thought it out, and I think they wanted it to be very successful and not janky and fall apart, because basically Bitcoin tried to be a medium of exchange in 2013, 2014, and the network wasn't ready for that. And there were more merchants then than there are now accepting Bitcoin, right? Like huge companies like I think Dell and Microsoft, all sorts of crazy companies were accepting Bitcoin back then. And then
Tesla?
that led to Tesla, that led to the block size wars, that led to SegWit, that led to Lightning. Bitcoin is now ready to be a medium of exchange, and this launch proves it. There's so many people onboarding businesses with absolute ease right now because of Square in the States.
I was just trying to find this. There's a map on Noster today. Who is it from? I forget now. Anyways, it basically showed how many merchants are accepting Bitcoin all around the world now, and I think it would actually blow people's minds. And what's the resource that they have connected to Cash App? Is it BTC Map or something?
I think BTC Map is going to be tied, or is tied into it, but Cash App also has its own map as well that is just showing Square merchants that have turned on
Right.
Accepting Bitcoin. So it doesn't show other businesses that also accept Bitcoin.
Right.
These two things will be integrated. And in Canada here, we don't have Cash App, so we can't even see that, unfortunately.
This is just a regular Bitcoin maps. This just shows you. This is on the side, but then there's gonna be a lot of merchants that are added now.
What are all these things?
These are just companies that accept Bitcoin. So like stores that accept Bitcoin.
Really?
This is way more than
and this also includes ATMs though.
Right.
It seems like it also includes. Yeah, there's probably way more than this too though.
That's quite a bit. Like if you looked at this map 4 years ago or 2 years ago, even, it would be a fraction of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the States is going to become like a Bitcoin superpower because of this. Like, honestly, this just means more Bitcoin diversified between different holders, right? Less concentration in large amounts, because there's going to be more Bitcoiners just spending 10,000 sats here, 10,000 sats there, and leaving those sats with those new people that didn't have Bitcoin beforehand.
Yeah.
So the people talk about the concentration of Bitcoin holders, and this is going to be huge for diversifying Bitcoin holdings between people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we did a video today talking about the bear market potential here and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, how do you look at something like this and feel any ounce of bearish? Like just the amount of explosion happening in Bitcoin. It's tough to even comprehend. I think even Bitcoiners, it's one of those things though, where we see announcements from Jerome Powell and the market reacts like this, or the president of the United States tweets something on a Sunday morning and all of that goes into Bitcoin because it's the only market open 24/7, 365. But news like this kind of stuff will take months or years to really see the full implications of the price and the value increase of the network. So, and this to me is real. Like when Powell or the president tweets something, that's kind of artificial, or they print more money. It's kind of artificial. It's just more dollars, Bitcoin's up, but you can still, you don't get any more with your purchasing power. But this is like the real driver of Bitcoin demand, and therefore the real driver of Bitcoin's overall value and an actual price increase.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's exciting. So one of the things, I mean, the Bitcoin network's growing, and I think that the theory that we have is the bigger your Bitcoin network is yourself, the faster you can actually start to leave the fiat system, because you start meeting other people in your area, you start transacting with them, you start building businesses with them outside of the fiat system. And so we created this community, Maple Bitcoin Skool community. By the way, I don't think we've mentioned this before, but Skool itself as a platform is incredible for this exact thing. Between the discussion, between the posts, you can share like a Twitter feed or like a picture, video. You can make an introduction, anything you want in there, all within Skool. Plus, there's a ton of exclusive content that the three of us have done together, talking about living on Bitcoin, storing Bitcoin, lending against your Bitcoin. It's all available there in the classroom of the Skool. So you can scan that. You can check it out. There it is right there. Where's the masterclass there? The exclusive stuff. And we're actually filming another video right after this. So you get all this. We also do a happy hour. It says on the QR code there. After every live stream we do on Friday, we do a happy hour for members only. So there's usually 25, 30, 35 people in there, cameras on if they want to, microphones on, active discussion. And it's growing. Bitcoin's growing. This community is growing. And my recommendation would just be start now. Don't wait for a year and see if it's right. you know, you want to get in these early and start making connections, grow your reputation, gain people's trust. Because in a world without a middleman, you want to have peer-to-peer relationships like this.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we're going to be raising the price every couple weeks or so. So if you get in now, you're going to lock in that price.
Yeah. We've moved from, I think we started at 17. Now we're up to 30 and we're getting new members joining every day. So it makes sense because the fiat dollar is worth less and less every day. And the value in this is going up and up every day. So we're not just trying to scam people here or a scheme. It's just the reality of where we are right now. So as Rajat said, you can sign up now. You can lock in that rate forever. So it's $30 a month right now, I believe. And even if it's up to 60 or 70, you're still going to be paying that $30 per month. And we also have some lifetime memberships too available. So anyway, scan that QR code, reach out if you have any questions, and we'll leave her there, boys. Do you have any final thoughts for the biggest news in Bitcoin adoption history?
No, I think I'm good.
What?
Yeah,
thought
I
you were
think
gonna say buy Bitcoin or Jat.
Oh yeah, buy Bitcoin. That's it.
Yeah, I would just say that although this is the biggest news in Bitcoin merchant adoption, that Jor is right that there's going to be a big lag effect before this is meaningful. But we're going to look back at this and we're going to, in our memory, we'll condense the time frame between the effects of this and the start of it, and we'll recognize in the future how huge this was.
Yep.
An inflection point, you might say.
10 years
Really
from
is
now,
a game changer, and it's exciting that if you're watching this video right now, sorry, Rajat, I cut you off there.
no worries. I was gonna say 10 years. I was gonna say 10 years from now, if you're watching this video, you're gonna see that a lot of the things that we're saying will probably end up being true. Bitcoin's price will probably be higher than what it is today. Of course, there's no guarantees. What if Satoshi Nakamoto comes out and sells all their coins? But it's very likely that it'll be higher because of that finite supply.
Yes. The supply dynamics, if you can understand that, you can understand Bitcoin. And this is just making it easier for people, reducing the friction, increasing the demand, increasing the overall value of the network. And long term, that plays out in our favor. So thanks, fellas. Another great one today. We'll catch you on the next one.